When did it become so normalized for colleges to be willing to dole out so much money to hire and fire their coaches? Jimbo Fisher, a few years back, was paid $76.8 million. James Franklin was $49 million, and Brian Kelly's buyout at LSU was reduced down to around $34 million. As I was writing this video, Hugh Freeze was fired with a buyout of $15.8 million. This is college athletics. When did we lose the plot? This is absolutely insane. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know how you feel about how insane these coaches' buyouts are in the comment section below. I felt like making this video after reading CBS Sports' Brandon Marcello's piece, The Buyout Bubble, Why College Football Keeps Paying Millions to Make Coaches Disappear, as well as Ian O'Connor's piece, College Football Coaches' Salaries Are Out of Control. Presidents Need to End the Madness. I mean, we're throwing millions and millions and millions of dollars for coaches to be fired, to go away. And it's just wild. These guys are these guys don't do well at their job, so they get paid $76 million to go away, $49 million to go away. It's insane. The first guaranteed contract was believed to be signed by Mike Sherman in 2007 when he was hired by Texas A&M. He signed a 7-year, $12.6 million deal, which would be worth $19 million in today's money. I mean, even then, that's an insane amount of money, but if someone was hired with that type of contract today, that's viewed as a bargain of a deal at the Power 4 level. 10 years later, Texas A&M signed Jimbo Fisher to a 10-year, $75 million deal, which would be worth $96 million in today's money. They increased the money in 2021 and would fire him in 2023, paying out $76.8 million, the largest buyout in college football history. I mean, we used to think about $15 million buyouts being this big deal, but now Hugh Freeze's buyout was just $15.8 million. The coaching market began to change when Michigan State renewed then head coach Mel Tucker to a 10-year, $95 million deal in 2021. At the time, it was the third largest contract ever. One Big Ten athletic director told CBS Sports, "That was an inflection point because around the league you looked at coaches who had already been successful and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, it just reset the whole market." Michigan State overpaying for a coach who had one decent season has led to this insane thing. If Michigan State's able to pay that money, what's an Ohio State, a Georgia, and Alabama willing to pay? The 2020 market was an insane one. It also saw Brian Kelly land a $95 million deal at LSU, who was just fired, and Lincoln Riley a $110 million contract, with this all happening while schools were attempting to recover financially from COVID-19 the year before, when schools were asking for more state funding, when they needed more help financially to keep things afloat, or that's what they're saying, but instead they were doling out these big contracts. Big contract after big contract was signed, and buyouts continued to grow to this astronomical rate. I mean, we're talking about $25 million for Luke Fickell just being chump change and being surprised that Wisconsin can't afford it. It's wild. Dabo Swinney's buyout at Clemson would be $60 million today if he was fired after the season. Lincoln Riley is reportedly $80 million, but it's not publicly available because they are a private university. Just to put things in perspective, not saying this is going to happen, but if Kirby Smart were fired, Georgia would owe him $105.1 million. $105 million for a college football coach. Mike Norvell is on the hot seat at Florida State, and he would be owed $58.67 million. While we might have a financial crisis while people are struggling, it's just so insane, and I can't believe this is where we're at. Many thought the pandemic was going to stall the market, as many schools' athletic departments struggled. Schools had to make tough decisions, and non-revenue sports were crushed. Football kept athletic departments afloat, but did not stop crazy buyouts from happening. One executive told CBS Sports, "I remember talking to people and thinking there's not going to be much change because there's no money." Then South Carolina fired Will Muschamp and paid him $15 million or whatever it was. That was a lot of money at the time. Now we just view $15 million as chump change for coaching buyouts. Everyone was like, well, shoot, if they could figure out how to do it, I guess we can too. Gus Malzahn was fired as well and paid $21.4 million, which was the highest paid buyout at the time. That is now viewed as chump change. A Big Ten athletic director told CBS Sports, "I have said for years that I thought coaching contracts would level out, and I've been dead wrong. They continue to go in the other direction. I don't want to say it's laughable, but I guess it kinda is. We've got the good aspect of pro sports in terms of big money, but we've also got the negative that pro sports don't have. There's no guardrails. I mean, if Mississippi State is willing to throw out $50 million for a coaching contract, then Ohio State also has to throw out $50 million. And those are just examples. Those aren't like real world examples. Those are just me throwing out two schools to compare and contrast. I mean, if one school's going to do it, everybody's got to do it. And it's just insane. You would think that there would be a ton of different agents with 136 FBS football teams, but instead there are 4 or 5 agents that cover about 80% of the market, so they can play with athletic directors who are supposed to be some of the smartest people in the building at a university as they run the athletic department, which, fun fact, they're not really one of the smartest. They're some of the dumbest, if you ask me. And they can get these athletic directors to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars, even though there's multiple people going after these jobs. As Stuart Mendel wrote in early October, misleading political ads urging you to call your local congressman and tell him to save college sports. The latest one gives the impression that women's and Olympic sports are in trouble because they're having to pay athletics a salary is going to bankrupt these schools. If we're paying these buyouts, I don't think these schools are going bankrupt. Buyout money spent this year is expected to exceed over $200 million. According to Mandel, it's enough to pay for scholarships of roughly 5,000 women's and Olympic sport athletes. It is the GDP of some small countries. That's just in 1 year of buyouts that we're paying. Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, ripped Scott Woodward, former AD at Texas A&M and now former AD at LSU, for giving Jimbo Fisher the 10-year, $75 million contract that led to a quickie extension signed by a different AD, a predictable firing, and the Rose Bowl of a buyout, the granddaddy of them all, in 2023, $76 million. The governor said he was tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers to foot the bill. Which, Landry kind of said, we're using taxpayer money to pay these buyouts. These are state universities in some cases that are paying buyouts and might raise taxes. I have no confirmation that that's actually what's going on. With what Landry said this week, it makes it seem like it could be a real possibility. Ian O'Connor wrote, they should finally answer the 2009 call of then NCAA president Miles Brand, who responded to 8-year, $32 million deal handed to Kentucky basketball coach John Calipari, a pittance by today's standard, by saying you have to ask some very hard questions. Whether this is really in tune with the academic values of higher education. Whether we've reached a point already that these high salaries and packages for coaches has really extended beyond what's expected within the academic community. In 2001 speech at the National Press Club, he said that his peers had to confront the rise of celebrity coaches, their ever-growing wages, external fan networking, and the arms race waged to satisfy all the above. Brand said, the deals sometimes with entrenched in coaches whose actions are not always in the best interest of the university. But I have great confidence in my colleague presidents, and I firmly believe that they have the best position to effectively lead a reform movement to take back intercollegiate athletics. Even if athletic departments are self-sustainable, this is still absurd. And fun fact, some athletic departments operate in the red and are using taxpayer money to make these payments, and those decision makers continue to be employed? Are we kidding me? Woodward just got fired, but he got hired after giving Jimbo Fisher that massive contract, and then gave Brian Kelly that massive contract. He was viewed as one of the best in the game, and he had 2 back-to-back failure of coaching hires with overspent money and leaving the donors and the state employees to pay back that money. People want to call the players selfish with the $20.5 million cap, while looking the other way with these absurd coaching contracts and AD contracts. It's mind-boggling. How are we making college football coaches the highest paid state employees? Yes, I know there's a ton of money in college football, but still, how can that sit right with you? As someone who covers college football, this doesn't sit right with me. As Romiki Huma, the executive director of the National Collegiate Players Association, said, For decades, the NCAA, conferences, and universities have used the excuse that they can't afford to pay the players. Meanwhile, coaches have had no cap at all. The hypocrisy just grown over time. These schools obviously have very deep pockets and have no problem gold-plating coaches' salaries. I think there's no justification whatsoever to restrict what players can earn. None of that other costs are capped. Coaches' salaries, stadium renovations, recruiting budgets, all these buyouts blow a hole through the argument. The kicker is this money is paid out by universities that determine these coaches aren't coaching well enough, so they have to get rid of them and pay them millions. But the athletes who are performing are prohibited from touching that same amount of money. And it's not just the buyouts for the coaches when they're fired, it's also for their whole support staff. There's numbers ranging with the James Franklin decision of it's going to cost Penn State, I think, somewhere around $60 million, I think I heard. I can't concretely say that. But it's not cheap. It's insane. An ACC athletic director told CBS Sports, it's going to take a lot of time. Who's going to be the huckleberry to change this? While someone else said there's going to be an attempt to call these things back. I mean, you almost have to be willing to call the coaches or agents on whether someone's going to leave or not, right? I know we like this guy, we don't want to lose him, but we can't mortgage the future of the university for 8 to 10 years because we don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. There's been talks about lowering the amount of years on coaches' salaries. There's been talks about making coaching salaries more incentive-based. But with 4 to 5 agents controlling 80% of the big-name coaches, or just the coaches in general, and the NCAA being so afraid of getting sued left and right, you're just waiting for a lawsuit to happen. And you're not going to be able to put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's already out. It's not going back. You're going to have to go through some court cases if you want to get it back. This is just where the game's gone to, and it's kind of disturbing. We live in the time of the big-time boosters, giant television revenue, and private equity even trying to get involved in college sports. There's going to be money continuing to flow in, and schools want to make the most money. And it's at an absurd rate. And things are only going to get bigger and bigger as fans become numb to it. I mean, we've already become numb to the giant buyout. 10 years ago, the buyouts we're talking about today were unheard of. The contracts being handed out today were unheard of. And now look where we're at. If one AD and school is not willing to go for it, another will attempt to win. This coaching carousel, we're going to see some disgustingly large contract extensions and contracts doled out. For schools that are trying to hold on to the coaches, like we saw at Indiana with Kurt Cignetti, Matt Rule at Nebraska, and probably Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, or if he leaves for LSU or Florida or Auburn, it's going to be a disgustingly large amount of money. And it's only going to hurt the universities. It's only going to hurt the fans. And no one's going to want to really talk about it. It seems like we're finally starting to talk about this, which is good. But I don't know how you fix it. Schools are willing to pay buyouts and pay for the taxes along with it to bring in a new coach. The coaches rarely ever pay their buyout to get out of their contract with their current school, while schools have to pay full buyouts to get rid of said coach. Coaches are not needing to face repercussions from jumping job to job, and the taxpayer and fan are being the ones to flip the bill from time to time. I mean, these schools pay for the buyout and the taxes on top of the buyout. And then the giant contract along with the coach and his support staff. What are we doing? This is college sports. We've gone to the pro model. And then you want to bring in private equity. The bubble's going to burst at some point. The money's going to stop flowing. And then what? I'm almost happy Wisconsin is sitting out this coaching carousel because whoever they were going to hire, they were going to have to overpay tenfold because of the competition for different coaches. What do you think? Can this issue be fixed? Am I overreacting with this? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.